Gather around, guys, gather around. Gather around, guys. Right, guys, come in. Right, if you can't see, just come up to the front, all right? The short people. Right, guys, can everybody hear me okay, yeah? At the back? Yep, at the front. Yep. Right, guys, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jack the Ripper Tour powered by Ripper Vision. My name is Johnny, and I'm going to be your guide for this evening. So, good evening. Good evening. And I'll be taking you through the dark, dank, and desolate streets of London's East End. Now, these guys, if you come to the East End as it is today, you'll find that an awful lot of it is being gentrified, okay? A lot of the old buildings have all been knocked down and been turned into new developments and new skyscrapers for the new money coming into the area. Maybe that is a good thing, but in the same way, it's probably a bad thing because it's kind of coursing out the old history of the East End. Because the thing is, it might come to a couple of years later on or so that we won't have really much to show you on this tour. So I'm actually glad you guys are here tonight so I can show you at least some of the old history, or at least tell you about it. Because Whitechapel, in its own strange little way, is kind of like the boiling pot of London, okay? It's a place where most of the crime and degradation was born. And in this square mile of Whitechapel in 1888, this was the poorest district in all of London. A place that had 76,000 people living in it. Like living under the breadline, struggling day to day to keep a roof over their heads or food in their stomachs. Now, there were honest types that would go out and get honest jobs, but usually honest jobs did not pay very well. So people resorted to a life of crime just to get by. If they were men, they then became pimps or bully boys, as it was known at the time. If they were children, they'd take a page out of Oliver Twist's book and pick a pocket or two. But if they were women, there was only one avenue open for them, and that was a life of prostitution. And there were some 1,200 prostitutes living in this area back in 1888, ranging from the ages of 12 to 60. And these girls did not charge much for their sorry wares. They'd usually only ever charge as little as 4 old pence for any kind of sexual misadventure. And there is 4 Victorian pence, okay? That's all, yeah? And they would charge that to either get a couple of beers, that would be the price of one of these women's bodies, okay? But that would also be the price to get into one of 233 common lodging houses, or doss houses, as they were known. This area was littered in these sort of establishments back in 1888, and they were rather sorry affairs. Because 4 pence did not get you much in the way of luxury. You did not even get a bed to sleep in. You basically laid on the floor on a mattress of straw and rag that probably hadn't been changed from the night before, so probably reeked of the prior occupant's urine. A lot of the time this attracted vermin, so you kept up all night scratching because of fleas, or woke up with a rat sitting on your chest. Probably a lot better than the person sleeping next to you, who was more prone to stealing your belongings than letting you have a good night's sleep. But believe me when I tell you this, guys, that was a hell of a lot better than sleeping on the wet, hard cobbles of London's East End. Now, guys, I've been studying this area and these crimes for a very long time, for some 24 years of my life, ever since I was a little boy. I've been doing these tours around here since, I was 18, so obviously I'm a little bit taller than that now. And I still have my own friends say to me, "Hey Johnny, what do these girls actually look like? I mean, what are they like in the films? Were they all curly haired and big buxom? Were they all rosy cheeked? They'll speak a bit like this." I mean, most people still assume these girls all looked a bit like that. And I don't know about you, but if that cost 4 pence, I wouldn't say no. Thing is, if you went back in a time machine back to 1888 and expect to find a woman this good looking for 4 pence, you'd be very sadly mistaken. Because what you would actually find was a woman who looked a little bit more like that. Because these were hard-living women. Hard-drinking women as well. Because gin was like the crack cocaine of its day. You could buy a jar of gin back in 1888 for as little as a penny. And this isn't the sort of gin you can get in a pub in this day and age. This is the sort of gin that was brewed in people's bathtubs, in their backyards. Proper methylated spirits that would rot the metal out of the bathtubs they were brewed in. So think about what it would have done to these women's eyesight, to their teeth, or to their liver. A lot of the time these girls would rather spend a penny on this rot gut gin than actually go to a bathhouse. So the only time they've washed their bodies were in the same puddles that a horse would urinate in. But it's these very same women that I'm going to tell you guys about tonight. In fact, the first of these women I'm going to tell you guys about tonight was only walking down this very thoroughfare on the 7th of August, 1888, after leaving the White Hart pub to try and earn herself a few pence for a bed to feel warm and safe for the night. And her name was Martha Tabram. Now, where we would next see her would be at midnight, the 7th of August, 1888, just over here, okay? And what used to be known as George Yard Buildings. Now, I'm afraid to say, as the first of the many comparison images I'll be showing you on this evening's tour, this is a little bit of a fourth wall break within a fourth wall break, okay? So I'm showing you what it used to look like back in 1888, what it used to look like about a year ago, and now there are no more walls to break because they knocked them all down. But just over there is where Martha Tabram was seen at midnight, the 7th of August, 1888, in the company of a man who looked like a soldier. But because Martha was known to service the servicemen, no one thought too much of this. She's gone to the stairwell with this guy, and that's the last time that she's ever seen alive. Now, the next time we would see her would be at near 5 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of August, 1888, when a man by the name of John Saunders Reeves is going down the stairwells of George Yard Buildings on his way to work. As he comes up to the first floor landing, which has been just above the stairwell, right there, he's come across a very horrible sight. That of the body of a woman, and she's absolutely covered in blood. Now, he did not know what to do, so he ran out to the street to try and get some help. It was at least 15 minutes until the police actually turned up at the scene. And when the police turned up at the scene, do you think they did any kind of crime scene investigation, or dusted for prints, or cordoned off the area, or taken any photographs, or taken any eyewitness descriptions? No! Because that sort of thing did not exist back in 1888. All the police did was declare the body dead, take it to the mortuary, and scrub the blood away. But when the body was taken to the mortuary and later identified as 39-year-old Martha Tabram, and this is her mortuary photograph right here, they discovered that this 39-year-old woman had been strangled and then coincidentally been stabbed 39 times. In her throat, her chest, her abdomen, and also in her sexual organs. One such wound inflicted to her chest, right there, I thought had been done by a bayonet, a soldier's weapon. Now, you can assume that it was the soldier who killed her, but let's not jump to those sort of conclusions, my friends. Because for one, soldiers weren't allowed to take their weapons out on leave. They still are not allowed to in this country, okay? Also, it doesn't necessarily make it a bayonet. Any long-bladed weapon that a butcher or a barber surgeon like Sweeney Todd could have done that, okay? Also, the doctor who did her autopsy, a fellow by the name of Dr. Killeen, said that she had been dead for about maybe 2.5 hours before her body was discovered. That's at 2:30, okay? Sorry, that's about 1.5 hours. Do apologise for my crap maths, okay? But he basically said she was murdered around about 2:30 in the morning, okay? So I don't think that the soldier was hanging around in the stairwell just basically waiting for her in that case. Also, it's worth pointing out that she is a common woman in this area, and a lot of the common women around the area were susceptible to violent attacks, okay? So the police really didn't have anything to go on. They didn't have any eyewitnesses. They didn't have any credible evidence. So they ended the investigation with a verdict of willful murder by person or persons unknown. Thing is, if the police had more at their disposal, then maybe they could have caught the man who murdered Martha Tabram right there, before he'd go on to murder another 5 women in the autumn of 1888. Because 3 weeks later, the killer would strike again. And from here, guys, it's only gonna get worse.